Welcome to The Kingdom, a podcast dedicated to CCBC Essex Athletics and a land defended by Sir Ross's Knights. Now here's your host, Rocco Geppi.
Hello Knights Nation, Rocco Geppi here for the Kingdom Podcast. I hope you are well and staying safe. Today we have Season 2, Episode number 10. I sit down with two former impactful females, Rachel Rossi and Hannah Tornatore, two more additions to our Once a Night, Always a Night series. First up, my interview with Rachel Rossi, so sit back and enjoy. Rocco Geppi for the Kingdom Podcast here with another installment of Once a Night, Always a Night. And here with me today is former women's soccer, women's lacrosse star here at Essex, Rachel Rossi. Rachel, thanks for joining me.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
It is my pleasure. So coming out of high school, you went to Havertide Grace High School, graduated a Warrior, I believe is the mascot there,
Yep.
and you decide to come to CCBC Essex to play soccer when there's another program pretty much right down the street from Havertide Grace where you reside. So why did you come to CCBC Essex?
So I did play club ball, and my coach, Charles, he actually knew Holland from a while back, and he actually had Holland come out to one of our indoor games, and afterwards Holland and I talked for a while, and he really just grabbed my interest in coming out and exploring the campus. And I think once I got on campus for the first time, I knew that was going to be my home for the next 2 years.
What was it specifically? Because I have a similar story. You know, I started announcing here in the fall of 2009, and it was almost instantly, as soon as I got on this campus, I wanted to be a part of this family, and was lucky enough, some years later, 6 years later, to do that. So what was it about this campus or the people and what have you that really hooked you?
I think it was definitely when I walked in to the gym for the first time and I saw all the banners hanging around the gym and just pictures all in the coach's office. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, I want to be a part of one of those banners. And I think just talking more and more with Coach Holland, it was just like given, like, this is where I got to play, like, this is where I have to be, and I want to be a part of the Essex history and be a Knight and be hanging on this wall and make memories here.
Well, you do get a chance to hang all the time out at the stadium. For those of you that don't know, our huge banner out at the stadium, it's actually three separate 50-foot banners, and embossed there forever or until the banner breaks down, whichever comes first, is Rachel Rossi. And I believe, if memory serving here, you're in a photo with Hannah Tornatore. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, from graduation?
Yes.
All right, good. I'm not feeling too old today then. So you get here, you're on campus, you're playing soccer. 2 years go by. What are you looking back after that? What did you love the most about playing soccer at CCBC Essex?
I think it was definitely how homey Holland made us feel as a team. We weren't just a girls soccer team. I mean, we did everything together. He went out of his way to make sure that we were all spending time with each other and doing activities, team building activities, making sure we were all there together before practice, after practice, just really checking in and just making sure we're doing okay as a person, not just on the field, but definitely off the field. And it definitely helped me dealing with academics and sports, because that was definitely, it was a lot of anxiety. My first, I would say, like 2 months, just trying to get a hold of everything. And this is now the college life. And I was very grateful for the way Holland, welcomed me in and really just kind of said, yeah, this is home now.
That's awesome. That's amazing. And I think you see that kind of in multiple sports. Is obviously we're going to hit in on another sport with you here in a little bit. How would you say, and I know what my answer is for this question, but if you were to use one word to sum up your play, what is characteristic Rachel Rossi on the soccer pitch, how would you describe your play when you were here a member of the Knights?
In one word?
One word.
I would definitely say, um, I would definitely say amazing. I think amazing is definitely the word. Very grateful for it as well. 2 words.
All right, moving on. Looking at the end of each season, like I said, both teams very good years, and if in those 2 years you guys combined to go 20-13-1. Unfortunately, each year the season ended in the regional finals against Hartford. The first year, your first year in 2015, it was a 1-0 game, and then 2016 was 2-0. Tell me what you learned from that experience. I mean, we all understand, losing no matter if it's at a national final, a regional final, district final, whatever, we all understand the emotions of a loss, but tell me what you've learned or what you learned in the moment from those 2 losses.
I definitely think as soon as that final whistle blew, that from that moment on, from my first year, we were going to work harder and stronger than we ever have, because we definitely wanted to come out on top the next season, definitely. But
Mhm.
I definitely think it made myself, as well as my other teammates, really just come together and realize that, I mean, it's okay to lose, but we got this next year. And of course, it didn't sit well with any of us, but we were okay. We were okay as a team.
That's good. It's good. We're going to shift gears here in just a second. We're going to hit a quick commercial break. When I return, we're going to continue our interview here. Once a night, always a night segment with Rachel Rossi here on the Kingdom Podcast, a podcast dedicated to CCBC Essex Athletics.
Let's talk about college.
Times have changed.
We've changed.
I refuse to accept an education that comes with a mountain of crippling debt.
No longer will I stay stuck in a job because college has no time for me.
I will not confuse a fancy name for a quality education. Sorry, Pops.
Let's talk practical.
Let's talk flexible.
Let's talk smart education.
Rethink what's possible with CCBC. Visit us online at ccbcmd.edu and see what you can be.
We are back. Rocco Geppi with you here on the Kingdom Podcast, Season 2, Episode number 10. And now we'll take you to the second and final part of my interview with Rachel Rossi. We are back on the Kingdom Podcast. I am sitting here with Rachel Rossi in another installment of our Once a Night, Always a Night series. And we just finished talking about Rachel's soccer days here at Essex. Now we're shifting gears. So after, I believe after your first year playing soccer, 2015, that winter break rolls around, we get back and we still see you out there on the turf because now you're playing lacrosse. My question for you, you'd never played lacrosse prior to Essex, so this is kind of a 2-part question. The first part of it is, what possessed you to pick up a lacrosse stick? And then who helped you the most in that transition?
Well, Greg actually came up to me and said, "Hey, would you like to play lacrosse?" And me, I'm just like, yeah, anything to get me back on the field. So it was just kind of like quick in the moment. Yeah, sure, I'll do it. No problem. And then when I came to the first day of practice in the gym, Coach Emily, she came up and she said, "Hey, I'm Emily." I'm like, "Hey, I'm Rachel." And I'm like, "So what do I do?" And she hands me a stick and goggles, and she was just like, "Don't worry, I got you. I will help you through this." And that whole, I would say the first 3 weeks, she was nonstop. "We're going to catch and throw. You will get this. I promise you will get this, and things will be smooth sailing for the next couple of months, I promise." And she stuck with me, and I was kind of okay at lacrosse by the end of the first season.
At what point did you get when you said to yourself, "Hey, I'm going to be okay. I can do this. I've got the basics down. I'm athletic enough." Was it after the first scrimmage or after the first couple? When did you get to the point where you said, "I'm good. I'll be okay until May"?
I definitely think after our first in practice scrimmage, when she had me trying out different positions, and really when I was like, you know what, I do offense in soccer, let me try defense in lacrosse. And I tried it, and I'm just like, all right, this isn't for me. So we switched, and I was playing offense, and I was really just getting in the groove and just constantly just listening and looking and just using everything I had in me. And I think after that first team scrimmage, I was like, all right, this is lacrosse. I got this.
Do you remember the feeling and what it was like to score your first goal?
Um, I was shocked that I actually managed to get all the way down outside of the crease and score. It was just like, did I really just do that? I was just like, whoa. And everyone's like, drop your stick. And I'm like, oh yeah, drop my stick. And everyone's like, yay. And I'm like, was that me? Like, I did that.
That's awesome. Do you remember who it was against?
Um, Gosh, now I feel a little old. I actually don't remember.
That's okay. That's why we do these shows. You you scored your first goal as a part of a hat trick against Potomac State. It was April 17th, 2016, and unfortunately we lost that game by 1. But yeah, so you not only scored your first collegiate goal in that game, but you scored your first 3 collegiate goals in that game.
Awesome.
What overall? So you've been playing soccer, since you could walk, and then you get here and you're playing lacrosse, a sport that's all new to you. Overall, athletics, academics, just everything here, the people that you met. What did you learn in your experience at CCBC Essex?
I definitely learned that it's okay to step outside of your comfort zone, and that in the end it will be okay and you'll get through it. And I think definitely both coaches and all my professors, who were all wonderful at CCBC, they definitely pushed me to my limit, and I faced and went through a lot of challenges I really didn't think I would get through. And I think that was the most memorable thing I did take out of being a Knight for 2 years. And I was really excited to really show what I had moving on to university and where I am now.
Awesome, and we're going to actually get to that now. So let us know what have you done since you left Essex, and what's on the horizon for Rachel Rossi.
So after I graduated in June of 2017, I immediately followed to Towson University, where I was pursuing my bachelor's in early childhood education. And after a year there, I suddenly switched my major to psychology. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So I finished my last year there in 2019 with a bachelor's of science in psychology. Mm-hmm. And then I did take some time off to really just collect and kind of just figure out what I wanted to do. And then a year later it hit me, and I'm like, I need to be back in the classroom. And so I started working at the Y preschool for this past year, and it's been an amazing experience. I've learned so much being here, and it really just kind of helped me fall back in love with being a teacher and being in the classroom. And so I then applied for my master's back at Towson University. Go Tigers. And I am currently studying my master's for early childhood education. And I'm very excited to be here for a couple of years, and I'm ready to just take everything and hopefully be in my own classroom in 4 or 5 years.
That's awesome. Good luck for you. Good luck to you on that. That's great. And, and that's good to see. Sometimes you need to take that time off to really set your priorities. So good for you. Really happy to hear that you're on a track that it sounds like you're really going to love.
Thank you.
All right. Well, final question for you. We ask all of our interviews on the Once a Night, Always a Night segment. Give me your top 3 moments from your time here at CCBC Essex.
My top 3 moments, I would say, is my first ever soccer game. I scored the first goal the first season. It was probably the best feeling ever. Second best was, surprisingly, I'm going to say this, but joining the women's lacrosse team here at Essex. And my last experience I would rate as my top 3 would definitely be, as weird as it sounds, finishing out my soccer season in 2016. losing against Hartford, 2-0. And just because I was just like, you know what, this is just setting the stage for what I'm going to be dealing with in life, and things aren't always going to go my way. And it really just kept me feeling good about myself, and it kept my head high. And I have this saying, I got this.
That's great. All right. Well, we appreciate your time again. Thank you so much. Rachel Rossi, ladies and gentlemen. What we're going to do is we're going to hit a quick break right now, and then we'll be back on the podcast to finish things off. You're listening to the Kingdom Podcast, a podcast dedicated to CCBC Essex Athletics.
Let's talk about college. Times have changed, and I say no to an education at the cost of crippling debt, because paying off student loans for the next 30 years is not in my financial plans.
Rethink what's possible with CCBC. Visit us online and see what you can be.
Times have changed, and I will not stay stuck in a job because college has no time for me. I will not let a limited schedule limit me.
Rethink what's possible with CCBC. Visit us online and see what you can be.
Rocco Geppi back with you here on the Kingdom Podcast, Season 2, Episode number 10. My thanks to Rachel Rossi, and good luck to her with her master's program. Now we head over to our second interview of the episode as I sat down with former women's lacrosse defensive standout, Hannah Tornatore. Rocco Geppi here, and today I'm with former women's lacrosse student athlete, Hannah Tornatore. Hannah, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure. Hannah, a student athlete here for the 2016-2017 seasons, graduate of CCBC. She was a defender, and despite that, scored 3 goals and had an assist in her sophomore season. For her career, 36 ground balls, and she had a 2-to-1 ratio on turnovers, causing 22 and only committing 11. She was an all-region 20 and an all-Maryland JUCO defender. And Hannah, with that, we'll get right into the questions. We appreciate your time again, as I said. In high school, it was your playing career didn't really go as planned from a lacrosse standpoint. When you came to CCBC Essex, because of that, what were some of your goals as a student athlete entering the Kingdom?
Honestly, I didn't really have any goals. I didn't really have any expectations set. Honestly, when I graduated high school, I had no intention of even going to college. Like, I kind of happened upon CCBC on accident. I really just wanted to play lacrosse again. I wanted to play. I wanted to have fun, be a part of a team again. So.
Well, talk a little bit more about that, because obviously you did get a chance to play during your 2 seasons. We kind of started to see the program turn the corner. So I guess 2-part question. What was it like to be a part of those teams? And then once you did start playing again and getting used to it, how did that feel? Because as I stated earlier, you would go on to be an all-region, all-conference student athlete.
Honestly, being part of the program as it developed and kind of like blossomed was amazing. We came into it with like kind of zero expectations, new coach, new team. Being a 2-year school, it's kind of hard because players are constantly rotating, but it turned out to be so much fun. I think especially my freshman year, as we grew and developed, we really had a lot of fun together, and we went on to the Final Four that year, so we did something.
Yeah, it definitely was. I think the year before your freshman year, the team went 2-8, and so you guys finished 8-9 that year. That's counting the region tournament. Then you come back the following year again, one game below 500. But like I said, that really kind of started to set the ball rolling for this program. And I think you were a part of that. I think there were a lot of players that were a part of that. What was your favorite part, though, about playing lacrosse at CCBC Essex?
I'd have to say probably just playing lacrosse, being part of a team, having just kind of like automatic friends, teammates. CCBC was really kind of like a second chance for me after high school. So I just loved being able to play the game again and have fun playing the game. It really kind of reminded me why I loved lacrosse in the first place.
That's really cool. And then there were obviously some things going on just off the field that kind of became a part of the Tornatore legacy, if you will. Not only I'll never forget that first game when it was Greg and Greg Wickup, our athletic administrator, and we're over at the scores table and we're looking across the field. And we're like, who's that guy on the field taking pictures? And I'm like, I don't know. Let me go find out. And so I go over. Obviously, it was your dad, Dean.
Yeah.
And then he ended up for those 2 seasons, and then last season when your sister played for us, being our kind of unofficial photographer. But it became common to see your dad on the sideline doing photos, your mom with the dogs, and then before she got here
Yeah.
with your sister. So they kind of became a part of the experience. How cool was that to, not only be playing the sport that you love and in front of those that you do love, but they kind of became a part of this team?
Honestly, it was so cool. I have always had such supportive parents. Even when I was at Wilmington, they were at as many games as they could make it to, always the Saturday home games. It was honestly just so much fun to really know that my family supported me. To have my dogs there, obviously the dogs were great. They would run on the field after a game to see me. And even having those pictures, because now I can look back on those and always have the memories of playing at Essex. So.
That's a really good answer. And I think, the one cool thing about doing these interviews is that not only do we get answers like that, but the answers are genuine. And we appreciate stuff like that. We see, so many different things on television where it's, kind of just going through the motions. And so we appreciate answers like that. Looking back, kind of building off of that and bringing your time at Essex to an end, what did you learn the most during your time here?
That the squirrels are crazy. Honestly, I think that's my biggest takeaway. That honestly, if you're coming out of high school and you don't know what you want to do, you don't know what you want to be after college, don't waste the money, don't waste the time. Go to a community college. You save yourself so much money. You're getting the same credits, and 99% of the schools still have sports that you can play at anyways. So
absolutely, that's great advice. When did you realize, and we're going to get to Wilmington here in a second, but when did you realize that you could play NCAA lacrosse?
Honestly, probably the fall of my sophomore year. This was the point where I was like, oh crap, I'm going to be done in the spring. Like, well, what am I going to do next? I definitely wanted to keep playing lacrosse. And there had been a couple college coaches that reached out after my spring and the fall, seeing Madison go on, Steph, Haley, seeing all of our sophomores go on to play lacrosse. I was kind of like, maybe that is something I can do after this. So
that's great. So let's talk about Wilmington. Tell us about that experience. Tell us what you learned, and just give us a little bit of insight on what led up to that decision to go to Wilmington. And we'll have that answer for you after this quick commercial break. We'll only be gone for 15 seconds. You're listening to the Kingdom Podcast, a podcast dedicated to CCBC Essex Athletics.
Times have changed, and I will not stay stuck in a job because college has no time for me. I will not let a limited schedule limit me.
Rethink what's possible with CCBC. Visit us online and see what you can be.
Welcome back. I'm Rocco Geppi. Thank you for continuing to listen and or watch. Now back to the final part of my interview with Hannah Tornatore.
Honestly, the opportunity to play Division II lacrosse was so amazing. I honestly never even saw myself at a 4-year school playing lacrosse. I had so much fun. I loved my roommates, my teammates. We really bonded and became one. And we were also in a growing phase, just like with Essex. Mm-hmm. My junior year, we had a brand new head coach. So our junior year, we did a lot of developing as a team. And then my senior year, we actually went on to the Final Four again, which is something that Wilmington hadn't done in a couple of years. So it was definitely amazing to be a part of it. I really feel like my senior year, we left a legacy behind. So
That's really cool. How much of that similar experience that you had at Essex helped prepare you for that at Wilmington, and did it allow you to kind of drop little nuggets of wisdom to some of your teammates?
I think going through that at Essex, it definitely, I was a little more flexible junior year. A lot of the girls that had started at Wilmington, they had had the same coach for 2 years, and then bam, there was a new coach in the mix, new assistant coaches, new teammates. So I think for them, like the transition might have been a little more difficult. But for me, like I had already kind of gone through that, where came into a team, we had a new coach, new players, everything was kind of brand new. So I think I was a little more flexible with adapting to that. And I think overall, like I just knew to take things with a grain of salt, to take things in stride, which allowed me to have a lot more fun as well.
Gotcha. It's I mean, that's good to know. And you know, for young women out there looking to transition from high school to junior college, then junior college to the NCAA 4-year level, you really never truly know what you're going to get into until you're into it. And so be prepared, know what the challenge of change is going to bring about. So tell us what you've been up to since you left Essex. Obviously, you know, we know about Wilmington. So I guess kind of take us from Wilmington until now, and let us know what's going on.
So I graduated Wilmington with a bachelor's in psychology. I also managed to get an extra certification while I was there in conflict resolution. So took some additional classes, graduated with that. After I graduated, it was kind of like graduating high school all over again. I was like, okay, now I've got this degree, like, what am I going to do? So I took a year off. I worked a lot, got some traveling in, went all the way to Portland for a week and then came back. I ended up applying to a couple grad schools. Currently I go to Barry University. I am a master's student in the program of sports and exercise psychology. And on top of that, I'm also getting my MBA at the same time. So I'm doing 3 years straight through. And then honestly, I don't know where I'm going after that. So we're just kind of winging it.
Got a lot going on. For those of you who don't know Hannah, she's a hustler. When she says she worked a little bit, she worked a lot of bit. I've seen the resume. She keeps busy, and she does the things that she needs to do to get and remain successful. Appreciate that answer. We're gonna go into our final question here. This is a question that we ask all of our interviewees here on Once a Night, Always a Night segment. Give us your top 3 moments from your time at Essex.
Oh gosh. Number 1, I think hands down, beating AACC at their own field my freshman year. They were our biggest rivals, which honestly I didn't even understand because it was my freshman year. I just knew that we wanted to beat AACC. They were kind of the mission was to win that game. And I think we only beat them by 1, possibly in overtime. So it was a great game, a great experience. That win was so awesome to be a part of. So that's definitely number 1. I'd say number 2 is definitely going to Final Four when we won our playoff game. And we knew we were finalized. We had that spot and that we were going to be playing again in May. So that was a lot of fun. Number 3, I don't know. Possibly the New York trips. They were always a lot of fun. Cold, but fun.
Yeah, definitely cold. I got a chance to go along with the team in 2019, and we went up to play. Let me see, Erie and Genesee, I believe it was. And so we played Genesee on Saturday, and we got up. Everybody boarded the bus. I jumped into my car, and we're getting ready to go over to Erie, which is just outside of Buffalo. And our coach calls me and says, "Hey, game's been canceled." I said, "Why's the game's been canceled?" She said, "Well, they got 4 inches of snow overnight, and we were like 20 minutes away. We got almost 0 snow." So essentially, we traveled to New York, spent the night to play 1 game. But it was a fun atmosphere. It was fun, going to dinner with the team and just kind of seeing that other side of it that, truthfully, other than the student athletes and the coaches, not many people really get to see.
Yeah. The whole traveling with the team experience is always a lot of fun. Bus trips, even though they can be like stressful and very long and tiring, like it's such good team bonding. You spend 6+ hours on a bus. So you listen to music, you watch movies, you just chat and really kind of get to know your teammates better. Especially because that's always kind of done earlier in the season as well. So I think it's a great bonding experience. Then you share a room with your teammates, you go out to dinner, everyone's just kind of having a good time and going there to win, hopefully accomplishing that, and hopefully it sets the tone for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think we've always had a pretty good record on those New York trips.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, Hannah, we really appreciate you taking the time out to talk to us. I know obviously you have a busy schedule going on. Not only are you in a dual degree program, but it's all being done virtually now, and you're still working. So really appreciate you taking the time out.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm always happy to come back.
Awesome. Well, that was Hannah Tornatore. She was here 2015 to 2017. And if you forget what she looks like, just come by a game and take a look at the banners across the field, because she is immortalized on our 150-foot banners out there at the turf here in the Kingdom. Once again, thanks to Hannah. We're going to step aside for just a few seconds here and take a break, and then we'll be back to the Kingdom Podcast, a podcast dedicated to CCBC Essex Athletics.
Let's talk about college. Times have changed, and I say no to an education at the cost of crippling debt, because paying off student loans for the next 30 years is not in my financial plans.
Rethink what's possible with CCBC. Visit us online and see what you can be.
Welcome back to the Kingdom Podcast, and thank you for taking in today's episode, Season 2, Episode number 10, now in the books. Make sure you follow us on social media. We're at CCBC Essex Sports on Twitter and Instagram, and you'll find us on Facebook and YouTube, both of which are important because that's where you'll continue to find these podcast episodes. Just keyword search CCBC Essex Athletics, and visit us online at ccbcessexknights.com. All of our social media links are also in the description of this episode. My thanks again to our guests Rachel Rossi and Hannah Tornatore. I'm Rocco Geppi, thanking you one last time for joining us today on the Kingdom Podcast. So long.